Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chinaplas 2017. We are broadcasting here directly from Guangzhou at the second Industry 4.0 conference organized by AdSale and the VDMA. In our today's panel discussion, we will be talking about electric and electronics 4.0 technologies, and I would like to start with the introduction of my panel discussion of today. At first, I would like to welcome Mr. Gerhard Böhm, Managing Director Sales of Arburg, based in Germany. Welcome. Then on the second place, a warm welcome to Dr. Pengzhong of Tongji University, and welcome as well on my right side, Mr. Yuanye, he's Operation Director of the Intelligent Research Institute at Haier. Welcome. Well, yes, we have heard in this today's session about Industry 4.0 technologies in Europe, in Germany, in China, and I would like to have a closer look onto what the industry influences will be in the future and how this technology might impact on our industries in all those countries. And maybe we start, Mr. Böhm, we learned from your presentation that you are preparing your machines to be a part of this new world of Industry 4.0. Is this Industry 4.0 an out-of-the-box technology, or do you think we are still on our way to implement that into the market? What is your opinion?
I think it is still an implementation, because we have in various industries and various companies already a really high standard. And what we are doing right now is to integrate the digitalization into the machines, into the processes we have. And one example we showed was the Arburg example of individualization. And I think that's what we will be faced to in the near future, that we have more individualized processes and the flexibility in the industrial products in production to do those things, which was with the previous mass production very difficult and was not as efficient as it could be.
The funny thing, I think, during this conference is that, and we can learn that from the questions from the audience here especially, that there is obviously a big difference between what, for example, German companies understand under Industry 4.0 and what Chinese companies and experts think Industry 4.0 is. Dr. Pengzhong, what is the main difference of the two approaches, of Germany and of China?
You
know that as I talk to the Germany industry and the Germany companies or German companies, we always discuss about the different interpretation of Industry 4.0 in China and in other countries. In China, we believe we don't want to follow the trend. We don't want to follow other kind of what the German companies doing now. We have to have a tailor-made or localized solution here in China for Industry 4.0. Individualization is very important. We talk to a lot of Chinese companies, and a lot of Chinese companies don't know how to do the kind of individualized manufacturing. So we define it that every process can fast respond to the customer need. The customer need doesn't mean that the end user, or the customer also include that every process of our manufacturing or even our machine is also a client. Once we have the need from the client, then all process need to be respond to the need very quickly and immediately. We need to have the very quick manufacturing plan, the process plan, and then to ensure those information could be given to the production line and to manufacture the product that the client is in need of. We believe that in Germany, they laid a very solid foundation for such kind of flexible manufacturing, but in China, we don't. So in the execution of the Industry 4.0, we have to standardize the procedure first. That is for the Chinese SMEs or Chinese companies. We have to standardize our process first, or procedures first. and then we can help to have a better lean management. We have to ensure that all the procedures need to be standardized first. This is the first issue we have to sort it out. We have to learn from our German counterparts. For example, we can in Industry 2 or Industry 2.5 or Industry 3, but the realization of Industry 4.0 need to be gradualized from 0.1 to 4.0.
I think there are big differences in the market approach. And when we're talking about the industry, we have to first look at what the customer, the final customer wants. And I think there are still differences between the European or Northern American markets and the Asian markets or Chinese markets. So maybe we start talking about the customer behavior. For example, the individualization of products in the Western markets is becoming famous, but it's not very famous so far. So we are starting to implement that into the market. How is the Chinese customer, for example? Is that a market demand? Is the customer, the final customer, asking for those individualized products, or does the industry have to convince the customer to use those products? What's your opinion?
You know that till now, individualization or individualized trend is obvious. You can see that from our order volume, we can see it very clearly. So in the near future, in China, people are chasing after the high quality life. And the tailor-made solution or individualized solution is something that the customer need. For higher group, we are targeting the high and mid and high-end customers for the individualized solution. For example, in my presentation, I told you 10% of our production is for the individualized production, and it's now growing very fast. This will be the future trend we see for the China market. But for sure, for China market, we'll still need a certain time for the market incubation, which means that we are now establishing our Cosmoplate platform. In the near future, we're going to build our platform based on the community economy. We provide the hardware to the community. By putting the hardware into every household, we can then collect the data. And then we can also provide us a value-added service to build an ecosystem to ensure the ecosystem can generate more value to us. So as a hire, we have 7 bigger ecosystems that can serve the community economy. Just now I told you for the individualized solution, in hire, we divide it into 3 layers. The first one is a modular individualization. For example, like the air conditioner, you need some higher air blow or the lower air blow. You can actually choose your different molecules you need. And the second one is about, for example, like the air conditioners. Someone like different formations and appearance. We can have the kind of crowdsourcing ideas. And then by taking the fans economy, we can make it into the crowdsourcing economy. It is more like some kind of ideas being proposed by the end user. And the third one is 100% individualized solution. Till now, we don't see too many cases. For example, your washing machine and all air conditioners can always be done in the way you like. For example, you have asked someone to write down some words or make some very individualized decorations to the appearance of those home appliances. These are something we would like to achieve in the near future, but now we don't see too much of the need from market for this kind of highly individualized requirement.
And that, of course, means that that if companies like Haier, if companies like Bosch, if companies like Siemens would like to set up their products to those market demands, they need to have machines to manufacture those technologies, to offer those technologies, to come up with the questions and the demand of the final customers. So, Mr. Böhm, I think for that reason, a trade fair like Chinaplas is the ideal platform to learn from your customers, like, for example, Haier, like other customers, like manufacturers of those machines and devices, what the demand is. Do you have similar discussions with your German customers customers, for example, who are buying your machines, your injection molding machines, or is there a different kind of discussion going on between the Asian customers and German ones?
No, there is not a big difference. We have those discussions all over the world. As individualization, as discussed, is a growing need, and we know also, just for example, the automotive industry, that the lifetime of a car, the lifetime of products is on the one hand side getting less and less. That's number one. And in between one generation of a part, there is a need for different small applications included, which makes the part a little bit different. And that is very clear for us as a machine supplier, that our machine needs to be adaptive, that we have a short setup time for the machine, that we have a high flexibility in the tools, that we have a high flexibility in all the surrounding automation systems. And the demands, major question, is all over the world, nearly the same.
Dr. Pengzhong, if you look, for example, to the market demand, who do you think will be the manager of the big data we are talking about the whole day? We're always talking about big data, about a massive number of sensor data being collected in the cloud or somewhere else. Who will be the, let's say, operator and the orchestrator of that kind of data? Who do you expect it to be? Will it be the final customer itself, or will it be the industry?
Personally, you know that we have something very specifically. For example, in China, we have Alibaba.com. At the very beginning, Alibaba.com is a visionary company. This company collects all the user data. And they collect those user data without violating the privacy of the end user. You know that every time I search online and I actually search something online, and all the user data will be collected by individual companies. This is a fact we have to recognize. In the near future, for the carriers and operators, or the operators, they need to have a huge customer base, and they also need to have the service platform, just like Hire said. They have the Cosmo platform, and they have the kind of a certain capacity for the platform integration, and those companies will be the one to manage those data. And as we have more and more big data, we will also need some of the companies who have the data analytic capacities. For example, you know that once we get those big data, it means nothing to the general people, and we have to do the big data mining to find out those valuable information from such a huge amount of data to help to analyze the customer need and the market trend, to do it in a very accurate way. For those companies who can do the data analytics, will also be the one who can help to manage those big data. Thank you very much.
My question, and I think it's the question of most of the audience here, and we learned that during our conference, that is, if we are collecting such numbers of data, what about security? What about data security? Because that is something we are discussing about in Europe, in Germany. We are discussing heavily here in China as well, because people seem to be concerned not only about the personal data which is collected, but the machine data of the manufacturers. So how can we be sure that, for example, your companies, your hire companies, or your suppliers are not, for example, hacked by somebody from the outer world and trying to interrupt your manufacturing process? How can we make sure in the future that this won't happen and that there is no damage to the industry?
Yes, data security is really an issue or a concern for most of the companies. Once the system being hacked, it would be very bad. And so you know that data security is really a great issue for us. So as we are launching our Cosmo plate, we have to pay attention to the data security. You know that in Germany, you have the GE and other companies who are trying to launch the product with a very secure way. As for hire, and we take the blockchain technology as a fundamental technology to support our Cosmo platform to ensure that the security for the data could be 100% guaranteed. We are actually using the industrial highest standard to guarantee the security of the data. So till now, you see that we are still trying to double our efforts. In the near future, we're going to work with GE and Siemens to have more collaborations to guarantee the data security. You know that even if all of us are building our own big data platform, but we are not contradictory to each other. Siemens is actually taking the data for the digitalized factories, where for GE, they are actually taking the big data for the remote control and the smart machineries. And they are doing the big data for the machineries, where for us, we will actually provide the big data. We have the big data for the suppliers, manufacturers, and the end users. And we are building an ecosystem. So we need to have more collaborations with other companies to guarantee the data security. Nowadays, we take the blockchain technology as a fundamental technology to guarantee the data security.
When talking about data security, I think we need a global solution for that, because a cloud-based solution is not a local one anymore. Maybe 20 or 30 years ago, there were local solutions, but we are now talking about global solutions. Mr. Böhm, how can we improve, or how can we bring forward the cooperation of companies in the different markets? What is Arburg, for example, doing to start this cooperation and to bring forward a worldwide Industry 4.0 approach?
Yeah, what we do as Arburg, and this is the platform we are talking today, is as a member of the VDMA, we are working on these standards, on these network standards, how machines can communicate and how periphery can communicate. And I think OPCUA and all the activities we heard today, that's the one of the major tasks we have. And we have seen that this starting 2 or 3 years ago with much more efforts in between. The plastic manufacturing companies made some good progress in the meantime, and we have standards now built up, and we are working on several more. And those standards, these are the international ones we need and we are looking for. And I just can say the progress we made until now is perfect.
Dr. Pengzhong, the interesting thing I learned during today's conference is that we are not only talking about technologies. We're not talking about machines and sensors only, but we're talking about how we need to educate our people to work in these areas, in this kind of production process. So you said in your presentation, you mentioned, and Mr. Tan did that already also, there is a prerequisite that we have to bear in mind. This is the education of people. Not only management level, but also workers level. So how can there be a better cooperation and cooperation between the countries, for example, like Germany and China in the future, to bring up some kind of understanding and a learning system to build up a community of workers and managers who can work within this Industry 4.0 level?
这个刚好
One of the audience asked the same question. He talked about this dual-track education. To my knowledge of Germany education system, so I know in Germany, very early on, they need to make a very decision whether they want to go to vocational school or whether they want to go to colleges, universities. So that's the thing in Germany. But in China, there is a graduation or record examination after high school, and then you go to either universities or vocational schools. So in this new era where you need higher expertise, looks like there are lack of supply of talents who has the knowledge and the capability to think. That's why the Ministry of Education are trying to convert some of the universities into vocational schools. So when we work with Tongji University, worked with Germany, we have a China-Germany engineering school and the China-Germany college. So the engineering college is really benchmarking against the Baha. And in the other school, we are benchmarking against the Wuri. So the China-Germany college is for graduate students. The other one is for vocational school. So AMTC is in China-Germany school college. So once the students are here, everything is taught inside the lab environment by simulating the environment in factory. Of course, we also have projects working with factories. So the learning process they have here is happening in the working settings. Once they have graduated, they should be talents who have composite expertise. They can become application engineers, as Ms. Tan has alluded to. That is something we're trying to do here. We're still on our learning curve. I think we are trying to transform.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We are at the end of our broadcast time. Of course, we cannot expect to discuss this topic entirely in depth, but at least we were able to give some inspiration and to carry on the discussion here at this Industry 4.0 conference at Chinaplas. If you want to join the discussion, come to Chinaplas or watch our broadcast on the internet. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here at the conference. And gentlemen, thank you for joining me in this panel discussion. Thank you.